So yeah, great to see so many of you here. It's different vibe to what we're used to, but at least we don't have to leave our house on this drizzly day. So tonight is all about being an indie artist online and how to maximize your connection with your audience during lockdown, and how to uncover some potential for financial support from your fans. But firstly, let's all acknowledge that we're meeting on stolen land tonight and pay our respects and gratitude to the traditional owners of the land in which we're all virtually zooming in from today. A big warm welcome to any First Peoples that are joining us tonight. And I'd like to also give you a heads up that this session will be recorded to be uploaded to Music Victoria's online professional development resources. So if you are comfortable with that, stay on the line. And we'll be kicking off tonight's workshop with a presentation from Laura Imbruglia, who's an independent artist. She also works at Music Victoria, running the Music Victoria Awards each year and the marketing for Music Victoria year-round. She's also had a stack of experience as an independent artist over the years, so she'll be sharing some tips with you on how to set up your online profile as an artist. And then we'll hear from Will Evans, artist and label ambassador at Bandcamp, on how to get the most out of the platform during this time and beyond. And we'll then hear from the founder and managing director of Bolster on social media content strategy in response to COVID-19, Anthony Zaccaria. So Laura, if you'd like to kick us off, you can go for it.
Sure thing. Hi everyone. I guess I'll just give you a really quick explainer on where I've come from and the context that I'm giving you this advice in or from. I have been playing music for 20 years and I got a manager pretty much as soon as I started playing shows in Sydney, and then he managed me for 10 years. And then I moved to Melbourne and I've been self-managed for the past 10 years. So I've got a good mixture of both experiences, and he was kind enough to share a lot of things with me as he was doing them and explain why things are the way they are. And yeah, a lot of the stuff that I've picked up is just from both observing stuff that he was doing and also observing other artists as new technology becomes available. So the stuff I want to focus on is just keeping your audience engaged. In this modern age where people have a short attention span and they've often got multiple tabs open at once, you want to make it really easy for them to follow you. You want to make it easy for them to buy your merch, give you money, get tickets, and look and listen to your latest thing really quickly. So I'm going to share my screen and hopefully you can see it, and I'll start talking you through a few different websites that I use. Does everyone see this? It's all good? Okay. So this website, Linktree, is kind of like, it's like a website menu, sort of. It works the same way as a website menu, but you use it instead of posting your website into your Instagram bio, because with Instagram you can only post one link unless you have one of those blue verified ticks, which are really, really difficult to get. So this allows you to put various things in, like here's a playlist that I've made, there's a web series that I've made, here's a link to buy my merch, listen to my latest album, blah, blah, blah. So if I want to point people to any of these things, I can post an image up on Instagram or Facebook and say, or I'll just use Instagram as the example. Here's a playlist I've made, link is in my bio, and then people can click on that. And the next day I could say, here's my new music video, check it out, links in my bio. And you update your link tree and people can go find the thing that they're looking for. So personally, I think that it's more useful to have a link tree than a website in your Instagram bio and in Facebook as well. Just because it's easier to keep it updated than a website, and easier for people to find what they're looking for, because it's really streamlined. On the right hand side, you can see a preview of what people are looking at. It's just really simple and straightforward, and you can update it from your desktop. It's just super simple. So that's how that works. You can also toggle things on and off. Like, I'm not playing gigs at the moment. Well, no one is, but but I just have my gigs thing there permanently. I toggle it off when I'm not playing shows. And if I have something that I want to boost to be something that is easy to find, then you can just drag things around. Next thing I want to go into is Smart URL, which there's a bunch of different websites that do this same sort of thing. It works in a similar way to Linktree, except it's for audio platforms. So this is one that I made for a single that I put out. On the back end, it's like a pretty ugly looking website, and it can feel overwhelming, but basically you put in the name of the artist, the song or the album, and then image, your socials, and then what you need to do is, when you're uploading your music to your digital aggregator like Ditto or AWOL or any of those, for them to then deliver your music to Spotify and iTunes and Apple Music, all the other different things, normally you won't be given the release URL to share with your fans until the day of release, but all you have to do is email them and say, can you please give me my links for my release? And they'll send them to you, and then you can start building a promotional page like this. So it ends up creating a thing like this, and you can customize it, add a logo, change the colors, choose which stores you want to direct people to, and it gives you a little, or the listener, a little bit of a preview of your track. You can even change stuff like the word that appears next to the audio platform. So you could have Bandcamp could say buy, but it could also say listen, or it could say like donate, or whatever you want. It just allows you to get your music to fans that listen through all the different platforms. And like, some people hate Spotify and they don't know anything about it. And they're really passionate about Bandcamp. But if you were to just go, my song's on Spotify, go listen to it, you might lose that person who would be pretty keen to support you if you made it really easy for them. So that's how that works. And there's a bunch of different types of smart URLs that you can make. I've only ever made the pivot one, which is what I just showed you, but there's also pre-save, which creates one that you use to promote your songs or your albums or whatever before they've come out. But it's the same process of emailing your aggregator, asking for the link, putting together the template, and then sending it out. And that allows fans to kind of, pre-save your song so that they are notified as soon as it is released. What else can I tell you? Other things. So at the moment, people are doing lots of live streaming concerts, and I really want to stress the importance of charging people for your performance, because I know that everyone's just at home and you might be playing your guitar or keys anyway, and it brings people joy to see you perform, and that feels nice. But also, live performance is one of the few things that we have left that still has value and that people can't download without you authorizing it. So just keep in mind the fact that Spotify, people are listening to music for free, live performance is one thing where you can charge them for it, or you at least encourage them to donate money. And it's important for the value of music overall that musicians have a bit of a united front on that. So that's my personal stance, but it's also the stance that Music Victoria has as well. We're really encouraging people to charge for live streaming concerts if that's what you're doing. So one way you can charge is by, like, if you're using Facebook, for example, Facebook Live, you can say, please donate to me via PayPal, but rather than saying my PayPal email is laurafun@gmail.com, it just looks a bit more professional to set up a paypal.me page, and this is what they look like. So once again, it just makes it super simple for people to get money to you, and it doesn't require them to log into PayPal, find the button to transfer the money, when, you know, they might not log into PayPal very often unless they're like paying for something on eBay or whatever. So this just makes it super simple. There's nothing else they can do on this page but give you money. And I would suggest adding that paypal.me anywhere you can. So like on your about page of your Facebook, on your link tree, just, you know, if there's someone out there that loves your stuff and they're looking for ways to support you, and musos are doing it tough at the moment, just make it super simple for them to get you money. Another thing that Spotify have rolled out recently is they're allowing you to add a paypal.me or something similar to your Spotify profile. I tested this out yesterday, so I can't show you how to do it now, but if you log into your Artists for Spotify account, along the top, if you haven't done it already, there's an alert that comes up across the top of the screen, and it's a really simple process. And now I'm just waiting for them to load it, but apparently once it's loaded, it will appear somewhere on the front page saying, you know, donate money to Laura. Other cool things you can do while I'm on Spotify for artists, there's an artist pick feature here that you can promote your upcoming concerts or feature whatever you want. I will feature this. This is all of my albums together in one playlist. Add an image. Groovy. Cool, man. So that will sit on the top of my Spotify until I delete it. What else have we got? Later. Okay, so this is a social media scheduling app that I use. It makes it, you can hook it in with so I've got my Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter connected, but you can do other stuff too. I don't use Pinterest. But what you do is you drag in your image. This is a free account as well. You can pay, and the paid account lets you post videos and stacked images and stuff like that. But the free account is just photos, I think, or images. So at the moment it's going to Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, but I could have, if I had, let me get out for a second. You can turn these on or off at the top to choose which ones you want it to go out to. And then we'll send this photo out, pick by Nick. Okay, so it takes you to the next page, and it's basically generating posts for those 3 profiles at once. And this is your opportunity to change things for each platform. So like for Instagram, I would be like, pick by Nick. Mick. I actually don't know if that's his handle, but I'll fix it later. And if it was Twitter, say the caption, that the original caption I'd posted had been like, this, it will eventually get to a point where it tells you you've gone over your character limit, and it won't let you post it. So that gives you the opportunity to change that. And you can schedule it to go out whenever you want, or you can just schedule it to go as soon as you're posting. But the good thing about scheduling it is, say you've got a single release coming out on Monday morning and you're going to be at work, or you just know that you're useless at getting things out on the day, just set aside some time, like an hour or two a week, to dedicate to being organized with your promo. So that's how that works, and it just goes out live and you don't have to think about it. And it's really a lot more fun and less painful to be dealing with social media on a desktop than on a phone. So that's my hot tip. What time is it? Okay, got about 10 minutes left. I might go through some. Oh, one other thing that I was just going to say is, if you're not active at the moment, or you're having some downtime and you're not releasing music, you're not playing shows, that's kind of where I'm at the moment. Just keep people engaged with other stuff. Like if you like making playlists, which is what I do, or you're listening to a good playlist, it's really easy to share what you're listening to from Spotify straight to your Instagram stories. Share what you're cooking, or just keep people engaged. And most people are generally interested in knowing what you're doing. And it's just a way to keep your fan base reminded that you exist. So if you don't do anything, and then if you're like me and release albums 5 years between each other, people still know who you are when you come back 5 years later, because you've been active on the social still. Okay. Other stuff that I want to tell you about is Music Victoria's resources page that we've been building since the lockdown. We've got all these resources separated by like creativity, educational, employment, fundraising platforms. And we've got a breakdown here for all the different types of fundraising you can do, like different ways to monetize your content, and a brief explainer. Like some of these merch companies, you upload designs rather than ordering 500 shirts and hoping that they'll sell. You can actually upload designs and promote the shirt, and they'll just print them up as people buy them. And there's just different ways of doing merchandise that are worth looking into. If you're looking at doing live streaming at the moment and you want to know different ways of monetizing it, we've got some tutorials here on YouTube Live, Instagram TV, Facebook Live, but then there's other ones you might not have heard about, like this one, which came to our attention, Moment House. It's an all-in-one ticketed live streaming service. So you sell your tickets through here, you get your fans' emails, and then you stream it through this as well, and you get 100% of the ticket sales. They charge the buyer a 10% service fee, and you build your mailing list as you go. And it's just a really tidy looking platform. Twitch is another good one. There's just like any way that you can monetize video content at the moment. I think it's really worth not making it free, because we don't have many things left that hasn't been made free through technology. Okay, so there are other resources we have. We've been uploading these workshops as they happen to our website. So you go events, professional development, listen and watch. And if you want to watch back this workshop or any others to, recap, they're all here. And we've got previous podcasts and stuff as well. So they'll also go up to our Facebook page. Only other thing I was going to talk about, which is like more a general sort of helpful thing. It's not necessarily to do with online right now, but that is budgets. So this is a cash flow template. You can get this from like the business.gov website, and basically you chuck in your opening balance, like what money you have in your music account. And I recommend having an account just for your music, separate to your living or your savings or whatever, so that you really know how much money you actually have and how much you're making from music. You put in your opening balance, and then you put in any money that you're expecting and what month you're expecting it in. So this is an old one of mine, but I was expecting $1,200 for gigs and $500 for sales, and then blah, blah, blah. Like at some point I got a grant, and so I would have chucked that in here. And then you put in what costs you're expecting to be spending per month and put them against each thing. And then it tells you like, okay, so you might have $4,349 now, but you're going to have $2,164 by the end of December. So if you're planning a tour for January, for example, it's really helpful to have a cash flow spreadsheet like this to just get your head around how much money you're actually going to have, because it can be a bit confusing when you get a grant at the beginning of a process and you feel flush with cash. You just might not exist by the time you need it for other things further down the track. So that's my hot tip for cash flow. The other spreadsheet that I have here, how do I get to it? Okay, is this is a White Sky. They're an accounting firm. They put together a tour budget template for musos. This is an example of me losing money, but it's also an example of me planning. And because I planned really well, it wasn't like a loss that I couldn't manage. But the way that this works is you put in your budget. If you know the guarantees that you're getting per show, you put them in. Or if you don't know what the guarantee is, you can put in the ticket price, the capacity of the venue, the percentage that you think tickets will sell, and then it generates what it thinks you'll bring in, and then you can estimate what your sales will be per show. You put in what you're going to pay, the supports, any other costs like advertising, rehearsals, petrol, blah, blah, blah. And then it tells you down the bottom whether you're going to make money or lose money and how much. And then, so that's your first step of planning. And then you can be like, okay, I planned to lose $270 from that tour. And then when you go through, you enter your actual income, and it gives you codes. So you go merch sales. It tells me here the code is M, and I made up $360 in merch sales that night, blah, blah, blah. You do that with all your income over the tour and make sure you code it. You do the same thing with all your costs and code it. And then it gives you a wrap up at the end of like what your budget was, what your actuals were, and what the variance is. So like I lost money with performance because a festival I was going to do cancelled, and I made more money than I expected with merchandise, but I still lost shitloads of money. But it's a really, like, I didn't start using tour budgets until my 4th album, and it made a huge difference. Like this last album that I released, I was able to break even, and I didn't, which is good as a solo artist paying band members. That's pretty good for me. I was happy with that. That's my presentation. I think I'm done. I'm going to stop sharing the screen if I can find it. Stop share. Okay.
Awesome. Thanks, Laura. That was so good, so helpful. So we might just pop the resources page from Music Fix website in the chat.
There's lots of questions here. I didn't address any of them. Do you want me to do that later or now?
Yeah, maybe we'll just get onto that now. There's a question about Linktree. Do you use the paid version or the pro?
No, I use the free version of everything. I can't really justify using paid versions at my level, but like if I was, there are benefits to using, I think Linktree, you can have cool fonts and there's greater analytics and things, but just for someone at my level, it's the free version is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. And what about Stage It? Have you heard of that platform?
No, I haven't.
Me neither. Sorry. Sorry, Jace. Question. Yeah, okay, cool. If anybody has any other questions for Laura, just shoot them through on the chat function and we'll get to them at the end.
Yeah, and I'll post all of these links in the feed now. Like I'll just go through one by one and post the things that I went through.
Okay, thanks. Cool. Will Evans, artist and label ambassador from Bandcamp, is on the line. Will, you need to join us?
Hello, how's it going?
Oh, yes, we're good. Do you have anything to add to Laura's advice before you get stuck into it on how to maybe integrate Bandcamp into any of those platforms she covered?
Yeah, I think it's super important to treat all of those different platforms differently. And I'll kind of get into the weeds a little bit in a second, but each different thing might have a different purpose for a whole bunch of different people. So particularly on those link trees, Smart URL, Linkfire, whatever the actual thing is, making sure you've got access to every platform on there, because as Laura said, there will be people that they want to use Tidal or whatever wacky service else that other people use, or they might be really obsessed with using Bandcamp, or they might be really obsessed with Spotify, or they want to do whatever they want. So I think that's really, really important. But yeah, should I just get into a whole bunch of Bandcamp related things?
Yeah, go for it. Maybe just before you kick off, for some emerging artists, so potentially someone who hasn't used Bandcamp before or have used Bandcamp at a fairly rudimentary level, maybe just kick off with some one-on-one tips for them, or like for how general users can level up during this time.
Yeah, sure. So if there's anyone here that doesn't know what Bandcamp is, we are but we're a tool for artists and labels to sell their music to their fans in as transparent and easy way as possible. We take a small cut of sales to host your music on the web, and we provide a safe way for fans to pay for your art. The cut we take is between 10 and 15% on digital and 10% on physical merch. And we pay out every day. So you don't have to, for those who have released via a digital aggregator in the past, you might know that it might take you almost a year to receive some money that you earned via a myriad of different services. We actually pay out every day. So it's to the point where it can actually be quite annoying to some people that they're consistently getting $1 sent to them every day. So I think that it's great, but I can understand that if you're quite successful on Bandcamp, that would become a little bit annoying. But on top of that, we also provide a place for music fans to buy direct from you. So it isn't necessarily just a one-way direct-to-consumer service. We provide almost like a little social media platform for artists to share the artists they love, to discover new music, and share between themselves. So, there's a Bandcamp fan app that I think suggests that everybody should get, obviously, where you can have your collection of releases that you've purchased in a digital format on your phone. So I personally buy a lot of physical off Bandcamp from local artists, and it means that I'll get the record or the tape delivered to my house, and then when I'm out, I have an easy way to listen to those releases in a much more higher lossless quality than some of the other services on my phone. So it's kind of a little bit of a both ways, but it's really important to, as I was saying before, treat Bandcamp differently to everything else. And you get out of it what you put in, which is kind of a bit of an annoying thing to say, but it's really true when it comes down to, dealing with the people that purchase from your Bandcamp account. It's not your everyday music consumer. The people who are buying off your Bandcamp page, they really genuinely care about giving you money for the work that you've done, which in 2020 might seem like a pretty weird concept to pay for something. So when someone buys something off you from Bandcamp, that connection is a lot more important than someone pre-saving your record or streaming you a bunch of times on Spotify. Not that those things aren't great, but if I buy something off one of your artist pages, you've got my email address, you've got a direct way to communicate with me. And I think that's much more important than a lot of other things. Particularly, we can get caught up in all these different industry things. There's so many people telling you what to do, but at the end of the day, you're an artist and you're trying to create music to give to the people that want it and like it. And Bandcamp's a really good way for you to connect with those people. I always say that Bandcamp is for fans that read the liner notes. And I think that probably applies to a lot of people watching at the moment, is we're all here because we're music fans. We're all musicians because we're music fans. And a lot of that stuff's super important to us. So thinking about Bandcamp in that way will really help you benefit from it. A little bit more general stuff about Bandcamp. We've paid out almost $500 million to artists and labels in the last 10 years. And in the last month alone, we've paid out almost $15 million. And yeah, I've just been jumping around my notes a little bit. So I'm just trying to find out what I've been doing. So we also have a kind of follower setup where artists follow you. So it's kind of really important at the moment to be building that up. Obviously, if someone buys something off you, they're going to be following you in the same way that you would use any other social media site to promote your music. Trying to gain followers is really important because a lot of the discovery-based things on the site drive sales. So 30% of the sales on the site actually come from the community elements of what we do. So that's our Discover feature. So if you go to the front page of Bandcamp and you scroll down, there's kind of, you can dig deep into music from a specific city, of a specific genre, subgenre, actual format. So whether it's cassette or CD or digital or vinyl. And you can kind of find a whole bunch of stuff of music based off that. We have artist recommendations. There's the fan collections I was talking about before. And we have these new tag hubs that are helping quite a lot. So tagging your music might sound pretty strange in 2020. It's a bit of like a 2012 SoundCloud thing. But I think it's really important to tag your music appropriately. That Discover function that you'll find on the front page of the site and also in the app, you'll be able to see what these subgenres are. And there's a lot of people on the site, specifically if you make heavy music, if you make electronic music of any capacity. Those two genres have really, really big Bandcamp followings, also kind of like quote unquote alternative music. So I think if you make some of that type of music, or you conform to a genre, and then people might get annoyed at that. But if you do, making sure you're tagging that music, because those discovery features really kick in. If you're a funk musician and you've made a soul, jazz, funk record, you can put all those tags in there, and it's going to start appearing in fans' feeds, and people are going to start getting emails about it if there's releases that are relevant to what a fan has kind of said they like. It's all kind of not based on an algorithm. It's kind of all based on what people actually have told us that they like. And then there's also a couple other different things. But so trying to tell your fans, if you don't have a Bandcamp page and you're just getting started, all that's kind of a little bit a bit irrelevant, but pushing people to follow your page. So even if you worried people won't buy your music, it's still definitely worth using the site, pushing people to follow you, because then you can start communicating directly with them as you go further down along in your career. Sharing your Bandcamp page is also, as we said before, super important as part of kicking start your kind of Bandcamp life.
That's awesome, Will. What kinds of modes of engagement do Bandcamp have for artists to communicate directly with their fans?
Yeah, so we've got a couple of different things. The most relevant one is, because it's kind of brand new, if you have a Bandcamp page currently, you might have noticed a new community tab on your artist page. That is basically allowing you to communicate directly with your followers. So as I was saying before, building followers is super important. And now we have a way on the desktop version of the site for you to send a message directly to the people that follow you. So for anyone here that's got a Bandcamp page and has for a few albums, or has been working on it for a couple of years, you'll probably find you've got more followers than you actually realize. Some people log in and see they've got 900 people that have given them $1 or less over the space of a couple of years, and now you can communicate directly with them. You can filter that down by location, so you can send a message specifically to people in Melbourne. So when this is all over and everyone's playing gigs again, you'll be able to message everyone in Melbourne that has purchased off you or follows you, and tell them that you're playing tonight, and everyone's going to get that message either in the app, on their phone, or in an email, depending on what their settings are. And you can also whittle that down to how much money people have spent on you. So if you sell vinyl or t-shirts, you're going to be able to, and maybe someone's purchased everything you've ever put out, you can say, all right, I'm going to see if there's someone that's spent over $100 on me in Melbourne. And there might be one person that's there, but that's a pretty powerful communication route, because you can now talk directly to that one person that's given you over $100, or maybe it's $20 or $50. And you can say to them, hey, I'm playing the show. Do you want to I'll put you on the door if you want to come, or, you can use your imagination on how you can do that. But it really becomes quite a powerful tool to be able to communicate directly with someone that cares enough to give you money for your work in 2020.
That's unreal. We've had a question come through on this point. Is there any way to connect emails from Bandcamp customers to my mailing list?
There's no automation way, but you can, if you have a Bandcamp page, you can go into your tools page, and you'll be able to grab the email addresses that have been given to you on the site from there, and you can also just grab the most recent ones. So if you've done that in the past, there won't be any kind of overkill. I think MailChimp will cut any overkill out, but yeah.
That's so good, Will. So would your advice be to treat Bandcamp like any other social media platform that artists have to communicate with their fans?
Yeah, I think so, but I think it's definitely worth always remembering who the people are that are using your Bandcamp. So for a lot of people, it might be the first way that you can communicate with. Maybe for a lot of people, it's just your friends or your family to begin with. But as you kind of roll on and on with your career, sales and stuff continues to snowball the more followers that you have. So I think being aware of the type of people. So when you go out and send messages to people on using this new service on Bandcamp, it's probably not right to use it in the same way as, say, Facebook, and just being like, hey, here's this new thing that I've done. Because if they're a follower of yours, they would have already got an email about your new release. So there's no point telling them that there's this new release, because they've just got an email 20 minutes ago that says that, and that might be a bit annoying. You can upload photos and videos to that service as well, and people can comment on it. So it's probably better to treat that audience as a little bit of a more educated audience on you as an artist, and as a more kind of caring thing. So being a little bit more personal on it is probably going to benefit a lot of people.
Nice. That's good advice. any marketing and editorial activity you want to get stuck into?
Yes, I think promoting your music is obviously super important, and you're going to be doing that anyway. But a couple of ways that you can do that better on Bandcamp is obviously, it's going to sound stupid, but sharing the link in the same way that you would all your other ones. Your profit margin on Bandcamp's a lot higher than what it's going to be on other services. So sharing Bandcamp as with a priority is usually something that I would recommend, just in terms of a financial decision, as opposed to what I'm meant to say. But even if you're uploading a video clip to YouTube, make sure you're putting your purchase links into that sort of stuff. Use the embed players that we have. They can, be a little bit fiddly, but they're definitely worthwhile over, say, a SoundCloud link, because someone might post your music somewhere on a blog or what have you, and the person's going to immediately be able to buy it from that through our embeds, as opposed to just streaming it for nothing. And yes, of course, our Bandcamp editorial, which, if anyone's unaware, if you just go to bandcamp.com, you'll be able to see the large amount of articles that we write. We do 5 every day, including an album of the day and a bunch of new and notable releases as well, and a radio show. So there's a lot of stuff that we do to promote the music that's on the site. That's as simple to get on as just having great music, which I'm sure everybody here does, and just letting us know with a bit of time. So you can email me at any time with new releases. I'm just at will@bandcamp.com, so I can put that in the notes, but more than happy for you to send your music to me. Kind of would like people to have it up there a little bit earlier. You can just save it as a draft. You don't need to release it earlier than the other platforms, and let us know about it. You can also email editorial@bandcamp.com. I'll put that in the thing as well, but that goes directly to the team of 5 editors in New York. And I would really recommend reading some of the stuff that we write about, just so that you can get an idea of what that kind of what we're actually writing about. Because we don't necessarily want to write just about this person's got a new release and it's good, because everybody's release is good. But if it's part of an interesting scene, if it's part of a whole bunch of different if you're making something very strange, we might want to write about it.
That's cool. So did you mention there was a resource or somewhere where you can read what that criteria is on how to really find an angle for your music when you're pitching it?
Yeah. So we don't outline too heavily, but if you go to bandcamp.com/guide, you will find a bunch of what I've just said now, written in a much nicer way. And there's our entire editorial team's email addresses are there as well, so anyone can get in touch with them at any time. And it gives you a little bit of an idea. We don't really like things like sending us Dropbox links or SoundCloud links to your music, because we're just not sure that it's actually going to end up on the site. So if you're going to pitch to us, please make sure that the music is already on the site. Save it as a draft or set to private, and we'll be able to see it in the back end and listen to it.
Great tip. And you have some exciting news to share on behalf of Bandcamp, don't you?
Yes, I do. So I'm sure some people may already know about this, and that is that tomorrow from 5 p.m. until Saturday at 5 p.m, we are waiving our revenue share. That is basically means that we'll be passing on 100% of revenue onto artists and labels for that time, to help with the current COVID situation. We're going to be doing this another 2 times, the first Friday of every month for the next few months, and then depending on how the world goes, perhaps more, perhaps we don't. Hopefully we don't need to, but it's still pretty great. And that's basically just going to mean that, there's going to be a lot of people on the site. Last time we did it, we did about 15 times the traffic that we normally do. People are really in the mood to support artists at this time. So it's really important to make sure that you have your stuff on Bandcamp, and that it's a good opportunity to get things organized, make it look relatively nice and easy for people who want to purchase your music.
Love your work, Will. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
If anyone has any questions for Will, shoot them through on the chat function, and we'll get to them at the end of this sesh. Anthony Zaccaria is the founder and managing director of Bolster. Bolster is a digital agency that looks after music industry clients and people in the entertainment biz, but maybe Anthony can give a better spiel on Bolster than I.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Hey, everyone. Bolster's digital and creative agency. We're a team of about 35, mostly in Melbourne. We have a couple of staff in Sydney and Brisbane as well. A lot of the work we do is around digital marketing, social media marketing for music clients, so music festivals like Splendour in the Grass and Laneway and Groove in the Moo, amongst a lot of others. Promoters like Chug and Secret Sounds, as well as labels. We work with Remote Control, Future Classic, Caroline and Sony on both paid social marketing for their releases, as well as content marketing. We also build websites and some other bits and pieces too, helping brands integrate with music as well. So a bit of a well-rounded agency. Been around about 5.5 years now, and we love working in the music space. Obviously, we wouldn't do it, but like a lot of others have also been impacted by COVID. So we're changing how we do things. It's scary, but also exciting time.
For sure. There is lots of opportunity amongst this, really challenging time where there's heaps of obstacles as well. How have you seen, what changes have you seen to maybe some of your clients, feel free to share actual details or not, how their social media campaign and content strategies have changed from pre-COVID to during COVID?
There's a few things we've noticed, I guess, like trend-wise as a whole. Maybe not so much for clients as much, because I think some clients are very much just quiet, especially all our event clients. They're just not really, they're just trying to maintain a little bit of connection with the audience. But from a broader level trends, people would have noticed a massive increase in direct-to-consumer marketing happening across the board, where places you may not have thought about buying direct from, and you now can, whether it's your local cafe or whatever it is. I think from a content point of view, we're seeing this with some clients, but again, across the board, content is more personalized and less polished, and that seems to be connecting with people a lot more than previously. So I think this is probably a good takeaway, that if you're looking for ways to keep contact with your audience, and you don't have means to produce polished videos and photo shoots, being intimate and transparent at the moment seems to be connecting really well, because everyone's vulnerable, and that honest personal connection really cuts through. And this is also ways to keep, I guess, building your own brand and connecting with your audience, rather than purely just selling to them during this time. It's kind of like the sale will come as a byproduct of this. So when you are asking to go to platform, or going to buy something, there's that more personal, that connection there you've already built with them. So we're seeing a lot of that sort of stuff, and not just across music, other verticals too. I think it's a good tip as well. Look at what hospitality industry is doing, or the film industry, as ways to maintain connection. So we're seeing a lot of that sort of stuff happen. A couple of the other examples. FKA Twigs did a Instagram live stream of her doing a dance, and if anyone's seen her perform, she's an amazing dancer, and she used to be a dancer before being a singer. And so she did this full Instagram live stream, and then she put up a post afterwards showing her movements and flows. And it was just another way. Usually she's quite mysterious, but this is her being quite earnest and open and raw to the camera, to her audience. Seeing a few artists, where showing another side of their musicality. If they're like, I can't remember who it was, you know, like a more downbeat, moody musician, but then would have put up a video of them absolutely shredding on the guitar, and you'd be like, oh, I wasn't expecting that, but holy shit, you can really play the guitar, cool. Again, building up this kind of other connection with them. G Flip has been doing some really cool live streams on YouTube where she's been playing like a demo a day, so stuff that she's been toying away with for her new album. She's playing those demos and doing like an interactive Q&A on live stream with fans. The other thing too that I'm sure everyone is across, if you follow any kind of meme accounts on social, massive increase in memes at this time and people creating memes. And I think it's already a comedic outlet, but people are, I guess, during this time we're in isolation and people want some form of outlet to either share with friends or take the piss out of themselves or each other. The increase in memes is actually really helping people do that and have a laugh just as a bit of release. So yeah, I think touching on a client, we can't take credit for this at all, but I think it's a good example. Obviously, there's live streaming happening everywhere, not just in music, but across other verticals. Untitled Group, who we work with, they run Beyond the Valley, Pitch Festival, Grapevine Gathering, as well as run a whole lot of other one-off and bespoke events and warehouse parties. Some of you may have seen they did a live stream last weekend or the weekend before. Now, if anyone follows any of their festival channels, you notice their content is always really, really, really well produced, and the videos emote a really, really great feeling of what their events are and what you can expect, and then their post-event content does the same of like what you missed out on. They're already always, I guess, position their brands as really high quality. And so when it came to a live stream, there's a couple of ways you can go about that. A lot of people are doing the raw, playing the guitar in the bedroom approach. Some are doing somewhere in between of like quite well produced. What these guys did was like maintain their brand position and credibility, and like our audiences expect this level of production from us when it comes to an event, so we want to give that to them through the live stream. And the message was all about stay home and enjoy our day party on your computer or your TV, because if you don't, there won't be a summer for us to put events on for you. And so the DJ sets were on like a rooftop. I think they used Easy's rooftop in Collingwood, and used their warehouse in Footscray, and Dom Dollar headlined it with full lighting production, multi-camera shoot, all done at a safe distance, but it looked and sounded amazing. And so it's kept that connection with their audience through this time. They had, I can't remember the numbers were, but it was thousands and thousands of people who tuned in to listen to these DJ sets all throughout the day. So I think that's an example of a brand that have the means to put a well-produced event or live event on. Yeah, so it's not to say that everyone has to do that, but it's a good example of that maintaining brand perception, credibility through this time.
That's an awesome example, because there is the assumption that lots of brands will have had to shift their brand and their approach, but that's a really cool example of someone really maintaining that vibe. So that's, I mean, we could take a lot of tips from those top tier clients or examples for indie artists to maybe implement on a smaller scale, maybe more grassroots. Like lots of artists that may be just emerging may not have given much thought to their social media content or the stuff that they post, but in response to all this, for an artist that might be thinking about it now of how to like cut through to reach an audience at this time, do you have any thoughts on where they could start?
I think the honesty and transparency side of thing I was touching on before is a good point, and being yourself. And there is that element of an artist is a performer, so there's this stage persona sometimes, as well as especially if artists don't go by their name. There's an artist name, or it's a part of a band. There's sometimes a persona, but I think peeling the hood back a little bit and showing real personality through content, be it video, direct to camera, or live feeds. I think there's also a lot of, in terms of maintaining connection, there's a lot of great engagement features on platforms like Instagram, where you can do your polls or stickers. I know this touches on some of the financial side of things. There's like a donate function through Instagram stories as well. So there's a lot of that kind of thing. I think depending on the level of artist, if you have a reasonably engaged fan base that come to your shows, seen a few artists do things like taking requests, and so you do a poll on Instagram, take a request for songs, then go and perform them. I think another way to find opportunities is if you're part of any kind of other group of musicians that you're friendly with. It's a way to create some leverage and build audiences from each other. So if it's Instagram Live as an example, doing something like that together, where I've seen collaborations happen on Instagram Live, where artists will play one part of a song, the next one that's also on live will continue on with the next part. And so there's this joint live thing together that works really well. And you can do that through other platforms too. It doesn't have to be Instagram Live. You can do that through Twitch as well. So I think it's don't have to be shy during this time, peeling the lid back a bit and just showing audiences who you are, and the kind of musician you are, an artist you are, and where you're going, and being honest about it. Because I think quite often, when you're in cycle, you're having to sell yourself quite a lot. Buy a ticket, buy my merch, here's my record, download my single, pre-save. And so in a way, there's almost a nice time to not have to just do that all the time, and keep connection with fans through giving them content. And when it comes to doing that, you can still do that sort of thing throughout. It's like, I've done a special merch thing. I've seen a few things happen like that. Actually, YouTube is actually quite a great example of this. YouTube creators are very much do that face to camera type stuff all the time. They're always having to just be open and honest. And there's been a few that done like custom merch ranges during this time, where they've will come with the name. It was like an English YouTuber, and he did this whole thing where he went, right, I'm going to come with a custom merch range. I'm going to buy some hoodies. I'm going to tie dye it. I'm going to put them, there's only going to be 50 of them available, and kind of documented the whole process. And then all his fans just felt this whole kind of connection, did a whole unboxing video, and the things sold out really quickly. If there is at least an audience that's willing to buy and support you, then you can kind of do stuff like that, like limited range offerings, which I think is one thing the hospitality industry has done really well. And obviously different because it's food and they can keep selling food packs every day. It's different to merch, but I think it's a good example of how they've shifted.
Totally. So creating that value, that, they've obviously still got, every artist has heaps of value, but, some streams may not have been tapped into because, it didn't have to, but there was. Yeah. So do you feel like creating that value as an artist and presenting that to an audience, like a byproduct of that will just be financial support? That's like a stream that it could translate to.
I think so, definitely, yeah. And whether that's coming up with collaborations that you then put up on Bandcamp or Spotify with somebody else, another artist, whether that's a limited merch product, whether that's another platform, if anyone's ever heard of it, called Patreon, and it's like a subscriber platform for creators. So you could, as an example, you could ask people to sign up for $5 a month, and as part of that $5 a month, they will get a custom newsletter to you, a sticker, and a cover song, and a new single, a new video demo, a new cover video each month, as an example. And it's exclusive to only people who pay the $5 a month and subscribers. But you might use your social channel during this time to tease that sort of content out a little bit to drive towards a subscription. So people following you are still getting free content, but you're and they're still getting some value, but really the big value and added value is through the subscription platform. I know a lot of artists have started using that as a way to just, I guess it's good recurring revenue. If you get a few hundred people paying that a month, it's great. And you're able to, it's also creating that sense of value, and it goes towards, Laura's point around not doing live streams for free and stuff. It maintains that value proposition for music and the art that's being created. And then same thing with when it comes to when things do pick back up and you're able to do live shows, people will be, I guess, a little more, everyone's going to be, so let's face it, everyone's going to be gagging to go out and see a gig again, right? So it just sort of helps maintain that connection for when that time comes.
Yep. Awesome. Well, what's your prediction, Anthony, for the world reopening? What do you feel like it will look like from a live point of view?
I think we're doing a lot of thinking on this at the moment too, because a lot of our festival clients are either cancelled or pushed back to next year. But some of the smaller events or smaller gigs and venues that we work with, I think that's where the opportunity is going to be, where the lifting of restrictions will be similar to how they came in. And so hopefully, pubs and bars and restaurants will open first at smaller capacities, which hopefully means there's some gig opportunities, even if it's a solo acoustic artist in the corner of a pub and there's only 50 people in the room that are allowed. That's still something that allows us to get active again. I think that's where it'll start. It's going to be, it seems like a long time before the big large scale events happen, but I think the smaller events are still possible. So hopefully that will really help the solo artist side of things. I think there's probably going to be an opportunity for the interesting bespoke gigs. So things that are like your parlor gigs and that kind of those platforms or So Far Sounds. I feel like there's an opportunity for those guys because again, they're smaller, intimate gigs that are held in backyards or interesting locations and venues that may only be 30 to 50 people. And I think that's an opportunity for artists to still gig, connect with audience, make some money before the kind of, the corner hotels of the world are able to open back up.
Yeah, good point. And do you feel like there is opportunity for artists to, like you touched on this point before, of finding collaboration and building new communities during this time with music? Do you reckon artists could begin to form those relationships with venues and bookers and, people they may not have actually struck relationships with in the past? It would be use of time for them?
Definitely, I think so. I think there's even, I don't know how viable this always is, but opportunities outside of just music or other musicians. Again, it's just an example to look toward, and it's not necessarily, as accessible for everybody, but maybe it's a way to get you thinking. Ben Shuri, who's like the owner of that fine dining restaurant Attica in Melbourne, he's been doing a bunch of like Instagram live cooking shows and making his cooking, kind of supposed to be accessible and stuff. But he's doing an Instagram live this weekend with Briggs, and they're doing like a cooking show together. And I think it's like a Simpsons themed cooking show. Now it's like, he's like this fine dining chef, but he's peeling it back to do something really accessible. But Briggs is in there with him. Together, they're kind of able to share each other's audiences. And Briggs is also a personality outside of just being a musician. But I think it's a really great example there of finding someone else who's maybe like-minded or may have some similar audience crossovers, but completely other worlds to bring a value proposition or a message or whatever it is to each other's audiences. I think that's a massive opportunity if you can get creative in finding who that person is that you can do a collaboration with, or whether it's a live stream or whatever it is, finding a creative angle there to collaborate with, because I think all it does just helps build each other's brand. And it's the increased time on social at the moment. People are looking for interesting stuff to watch and connect with. That's
a brilliant idea. Yeah, that's super cool. Cooking's that's really taken off in lockdown. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it makes complete sense.
It does. That's a great place to start for artists. And in regards to like Bolster and what your team are working on, do you have any stuff that, grassroots artists could look forward to seeing from you guys?
Yeah, so we are actually going to be doing a couple of our own webinars that are focused on social media and digital marketing in a couple of weeks' time. So keep an eye out for that. We also have a digital marketing workshop called Blocks, which at the moment we're putting on hold, just given it's at a certain price point. But what we are going to be doing is scaling that right back into a smaller 2-hour version and discounting the hell out of it for artists and managers to do some of their own digital marketing upskilling during this time. So there are a couple of things we're working on just to help the community and also continue having our staff keep working on some cool stuff as well.
That's ace. Can't wait. So can people sign up to Bolster's like emails on your site?
Yeah, exactly. So on our website, there's a link there for side B, which is our newsletter, the name of our newsletter. Signing up to that, it goes out every 2 weeks. It's really just a list of interesting links. So there's no sales messaging in it. It's purely cool stuff that's to do with digital and music and tech over the last 2 weeks. So go to our website. I'll put the link in the chat, and we will link to that when those webinars and workshops are happening.
That's awesome. And I believe Paige from your team is presenting on the VMDO networking breakfast.
She is, yeah. Yep, I think that's in a couple of weeks.
In a couple of weeks, okay.
Yep.
You can see that. Laura, do you want to link to that event in the chat? The VMDO networking breakfasts?
Yep.
That will be great to hear some more insight on social media trends.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Paige is great. She'll have heaps of insights to share on that.
Love it. So if anyone has any more questions, speak now or email me later. It's been awesome hearing from you guys. I hope this has been helpful to everyone in terms of really supporting your online presence during this time, and take all of these skills that everyone's learning into the new world that we will hopefully return to. This